May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Would you please be seated? Friends, you are God's field and God's building. Did you hear that? You are God's field and God's building, right? That's all of us. Each one of us. Every follower of Christ. God's field, God's building. It's where we sow the seeds of the kingdom. You've heard this before, right? The parable of the sower. Where God's field is where we sow the seeds, right? It's where we water those seeds. Each and every one of us. We don't bring the growth. We just heard it beautifully read. God is the one that works where the seed was sown, where it was watered. Where is that field? In us. In you. Each one of you. God's field. God works within you to bring the growth. Every time we are with each other, every time we spread this gospel, every time we actually take notice of what Jesus says and then try to act it out in our lives, we're working in God's kingdom, with each other, in God's field. But not only that, you are God's building. Respect it. Love it. Be worshipful with it. Some powerful words there. Am I wrong? Or is that sort of lukewarm? Each one of you really think of what that means. It's not just one or two people. That's all of you. God's field and God's building. Beautiful stuff. So every time we're working in the kingdom, we're working together. We speak a lot about kingdom values here at Freshwater. I think we have for quite a few years. That's incredibly important. It's a wonderful foundation for us as a parish to speak about God's kingdom and kingdom values, right? Have you heard those words before? Once or twice, occasionally, in the information session? Well, there's a little bit of a possible, not danger, but a caution there, right? Because we're human, and we do this with just about anything, right? We start speaking about kingdom values, and then we make up those values, right? We decide this is kingdom value, this is kingdom value, this is kingdom value here. But we then forget occasionally to look back into Scripture and say, hang on, what does Jesus actually lay down as kingdom values? You know, are we using this just as a buzzword, right? And there's plenty of those buzzwords. Or are we digging back into Scripture to try and draw out what can guide us in those kingdom values? And we'll get to that very soon. Another thing I wanted to say, which is really quite nerve-wracking for most of us before we dig into that incredible piece of Scripture, the Gospels this morning, is, friends, don't be afraid of change. I cannot stress this anymore. Don't be afraid of change. Because if we are, goodness me, we wouldn't have liked what Jesus had to say on the Mount. We wouldn't have liked what we hear from Scripture today. Because it's full of change. It's full of newness and life and new directions. So change isn't actually something that we just add on. It's this new age kind of blame it on millennials thing, right? In our society, in our church. Change is actually a core of what we are as Christian people. If we truly listen to what Christ is teaching us, and we want to put that in action, then that includes change. But not just for change's sake, for good reason. We need to be able to express why we change the way we are, how it gives life to our community. And part of that comes actually from being honest with ourselves and critiquing ourselves. Jesus is pretty clear about that. So to try and put my money where my mouth is when it comes to possible change or finding ways of sowing the seeds a bit more on the field, I did something which I find extremely difficult. Right? I sat down last week and put 15 minutes, I apologise, I didn't realise it was that long, into watching one of my sermons back. That's painful. And I realised a few things about that. One, that it was 15 minutes long. Two, that I walk around a ridiculous amount. Right? You must have noticed that. You're also gracious and kind. And three, it's very difficult to keep yourself honest, right? And critique yourself. Now, why am I saying that? Because, as I said, this teaching from Jesus goes beautifully with the teaching from Paul about milk and solid food. We're talking about milk. I gave you milk. The stuff that's kind of easier to take. The stuff that babies can handle, babies can drink. That's what we start kids on, anybody who's raised them, or anybody who hasn't raised them. Yet the solid food, it's a bit more difficult, right? There's some edges in there. It's a bit more hard to swallow. It can be tough. However, it's far more substantial. It's full of goodness. It's full of all the stuff that helps us grow as we mature as people of Christ. But that's not always an easy journey for us. So let's take a quick look at what Jesus had to say today. Was that a nice little fluffy reading from Jesus this morning? Friends, I want to give you some really easy stuff just to think on. Let me make it mild here. I'm going to be the good pastor. I'm going to sit down beside you, pat you on the head and say, it's all going to be okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You're loved. You don't have to change. Nothing needs to be different. Just sit down next to me. We'll have a biscuit. Was that sort of what you got from the Gospels this morning? Yeah. Good. I hope not. Because we tend to change things to make them a bit more like that. Right? There's a sting in this tale, isn't there? This is not easy stuff. This is change. Remember, Matthew's community were a community of believers of Jesus who were still very Jewish and who still believed very much in the law and following that quite closely. And then Jesus comes along and says, you've heard that it was said to those in ancient times, you shall not commit murder. Of course we've heard that. That's one of the commandments, right? This is one of the messages from Moses. But now I say to you, whoever murders, but I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or sister, you will be liable to judgment. Who does this guy think he is? That's the law of Moses. And he's changing it. We can't have change. We have trouble taking a piano from one side of the church to the other. Who is this guy? Matthew is setting Jesus up, or Jesus himself, as a very different thing to Moses. In fact, he changes Moses' law. Now, I'm very grateful to a fellow clergy person who spelled this out very in simple dot points, right? So we're going to go through them very quickly, just to see how things would change. The first one, no murder, right? Jesus changed that to no hatred. Next one, no adultery. No, I'm tightening this up too. No lustful stare. Right? This is not becoming easier, this is tightening. Right? Next one. No divorce without papers. No divorce. Unless on grounds of unchaste and adultery. Right? Next one. No false oaths. What, Moses? Jesus says, no, taking that further too. Don't swear an oath. Don't do it. could give you a little loophole here and get out of jail clause. Not going to tighten it up even more and say, don't swear on this, or this, not even on your head. Here's on your head. Next one. Proportionate violence. Right? Eye for an eye sort of stuff. Remember, that sounds just, especially in a society which, where tribal war was normal, right? A violent society, then justice was seen, and an eye for an eye. Jesus, what does he say? No violence, none. Don't do it. Not just proportionate. No violence. Is it any wonder that the first Christian people were complete pacifists? No violence. And how did Jesus know, by the way? Violence. Next one. Love your neighbour. Well, that's a nice one. That's easy, right? Love your enemy. Not so easy. Next one. That's them all laid out here. Try to keep that up there for now. What are these? These are actual kingdom values. Right? What they are not is ways to get in or out of heaven, is ways to stay in or out of hell. Right? Gehenna, the place where they burn all the trash and bodies, which is the word written there. A very physical, real place. These are values. Values to live by. They may seem difficult. A couple of these I want to touch on just a little bit more. Right? Some of these will be difficult for some people. The ones about divorce, right? You'll notice that it'll say any man who marries another woman forces her to commit adultery, and he's also liable for that, right? What's that doing? We've been through this before in different contexts. That's evening the field a little bit. Previously, a Jewish man could give a woman a certificate of divorce, right? For just about anything, actually. They just dismissed her. And then she was destitute or at the hands of her family. Jesus says, no, that's not happening anymore. You have to have a good reason. You cannot treat other people, right? The fields of God, the structures of God, other people, as objects. You can't just toss them aside. There's now a balance in this power. Now, if Jesus was around today, would he say something different about marriage? In the way that our society is structured now, in the laws that we have now, that make sure it is far more even? Quite possibly. Back then, it was very different. So let's not try and turn this into something that it isn't, and then go and turn it into a big stick to judge people with. And say, because of you being divorced, you can't be in the mother's unions. Does that sound ridiculous? It's happened historically. We have to understand what's being said here, the essence of the law. Which ones do you find difficult? I'll tell you which one I find difficult. I find the one about no fault, no oaths. I find that difficult because I've taken many oaths. I took an oath when I became a priest and a deacon. Just about anybody else here who sits in the church is one of those has done that. Love your enemy. If we're honest, we find that difficult. Yeah. Yes. The only way for somebody not to become your enemy is to eventually get to a place where you love them. There are others that I think most of us would find a little bit easier as fully grown adults, or I hope not slandering people. It's not that hard, really. Not calling people you fool. There are ways of working through that. So you get to a far better, more healthy place. No hatred. Is that easy, do you think? I think that's difficult as well. Friends, when people are talking about coming together, being peacemakers, unity, which is part of the theme that the Archbishop set for this entire diocese a couple of nights ago. People may think it's airy-fairy at times with flowers. It's not. This is not easy stuff. This is the far more difficult, narrow road, right? Accepting people, finding out ways to love people that we find hard to love, being disciplined within ourselves to control our anger and emotions the best we can. That's far more difficult than just using our power to have it over others. It's far more difficult than finding people we can exclude. This is the narrow road. This is the difficult road. And it leads to the kingdom of God. There's a reality in this. For our day-to-day lives, the walk with God, the journey with Jesus, the kingdom that is now with us and is forever with us. We all want to be a part of that, or we wouldn't be here right now. Jesus was quite clear in today's reading. Anything more than yes, yes, or no, no, comes from the evil one. Or evil, can be translated either way. There's some truth to that. The more we try and justify something that we don't actually really believe in, the more evil we see in. The more we say one thing and then maybe go about and do another in order to sort of be underhanded to someone, and then evil can seep into that as well. These are the easy ways out. The difficult way is saying yes when you know you're going to be judged, or no when you know you're going to be rejected. So this is the end of chapter 5 of the Sermon on the Mount. Remember though, you are God's field. This is the place where God does God's work. The church is us as a people. Nothing else beyond that. And we cannot be afraid of change. Because if we're honest with ourselves, if we are, we would be the ones standing up condemning Jesus. He was a change bringer. He was a challenger. He was a healer and one full of grace. But he was also one that gave us pause to really reflect on ourselves, to change where we need to change, to be honest where we need to be honest. So don't be afraid of change. So as we work together, I pray that we take up the Archbishop's new charge to find ways of being peacemakers, to come together in unity. Now that's more difficult than what it may seem, but we can do this with Christ as our centre and our core. We can do this if we remember we're the field that Christ is working in. We are the house where we find God. And this, friends, is the way to the kingdom. In the name of God, the Creator, Redeemer and Sustainer. Amen.